Are you ready to get mechanical? Then watch this video and find out how. What's up, guys? Today we're going to be learning how to use air roll, a directional air roll, and using that to take your mechanics to the next level. But before we get into that, I do want to give a shout out to my Twitch channel. I do stream occasionally, a couple times a week. If you guys want to pop in, say hello, tell me you come from a YouTube channel, that'd be greatly appreciated. Come hang out, let's chat. Or if you want to get in some games or just laugh with me and my friends, you can always do that. All the support is greatly appreciated. I also have a TikTok. I like to post my highlights and clips on there, but I am going to be starting to post coaching tips to try and help you guys really improve. Don't forget to give a like on this video, and if you do like the content, it would be greatly appreciated if you could give me a sub. It really helps out. I really feel like we can get a lot more people invested into getting better at Rocket League if we can get these tips out there, because I know some of these tips that I'm giving you are not talked about a lot. So well, let's help each other out here, all right? All right, now, before we learn how to use a directional air roll, there is a disclaimer here. Before you even think about learning directional air roll, you should be able to fast aerial, you should be able to hit your aerials, and you should be able to float in the air by feathering your boost. Those are three components that you should know 100% how to do and should be able to execute almost every time. All right, now you're probably wondering, why should we use directional air roll? I do perfectly fine just boosting straight into the ball with no air roll or using the non-directional air roll, and I do just fine without directional air roll, so why should I use it? Well, the biggest reason as to why you should use a directional air roll is for control purposes. You should learn a directional air roll because, one, it gives you more control over your touches. You can get heavier touches when you want. You can get lighter touches when you want. It also makes going for high-level mechanics much easier, including double taps, air dribbles, flip resets, things like that, right? It also helps you with your recoveries, both on offense and defense. It makes your shooting accuracy much higher. It allows you to get tighter angles, more accurate shot placements, and more angles to pass to your teammates, things like that, or play the ball to space. It overall just gives you more control over what you want to do with the ball and where you want to put the ball. Now, I don't want you to think using air roll is just a flashy mechanic that high-level players like to use. While some people, like freestylers, like to use it just to show off, that is not the purpose of air roll. And nor should you be going for aerials holding air roll the entire time. That is not what it's for. You should never, almost never, just hold air roll while going for an aerial. There is always a purpose to the movements you are making. All right, now that we got that out of the way and now we know why we should use air roll and how we should not use it, it is important for us to decide what direction we want to use. Now, for me personally, I use air roll right. I sometimes use air roll left, but just for power shots. I don't really use it in the air. But before you start learning a directional air roll, you need to figure out which one you like better. And to do this, you should bind both of them and just try them out. Jump in the air and hold air roll. And whichever one looks more appealing to your eye, whichever one throws you off less, whichever one looks less weird to you, is the one you should use. So for me, I tried air roll left. I thought it looked kind of weird. I didn't really know what was going on in my car, so I tried air roll right. Looked a lot better, looked a lot smoother. And so I've stuck with air roll right ever since. All right, now that we got our directional air roll bound, let's hop in a game here and let's see how air roll works and what the different directions do. All right, so I'm loaded up here in free play. I just want to go through with the different movements you can make with air roll. Now I'm going to be using air roll right, but when pushing your stick left and right, if you're using air roll left, just flip-flop the directions. So for example, to pitch your nose up using air roll right, you want to push your stick to the left. So you'll see how my nose pitches up. Now if you're using air roll left, you just push your stick to the right as such. See, it's the same movements, your car is just spinning the other direction. All right, So now let's go through the different directions on your stick. You got down on your stick, you got left on your stick, you got forward on your stick, and you got right on your stick. Now, the very first direction you should learn, and I recommend learning one direction at a time. Don't try and learn all 4 directions of your stick all at once. Just get comfortable with one direction and be able to use that. And then once you feel comfortable with that, you can move on to another direction. But the very first direction I recommend starting off with is left. Now, with arrow right, you push your stick to the left. With arrow left, you push your stick to the right. This is called a tornado spin. You're pretty much pushing your stick to the opposite direction of how your car is spinning. And this is what it looks like. Now, you'll notice how your car pitches up. See how my nose pitches up? Now, that's very important because when you're going for aerials, you want to keep your nose pitched up because that gives you the most control. So if I just jump here and I just slightly, and I mean slightly, just tap your stick to the left, you don't want to hold it. It'll pretty much just look like this. I just go like that, and then I let off. My car's nose will pitch up, and then I'm able to aerial straight up to the roof, like so. See how I can just go straight up like this? That's all because I just held arrow right and my stick to the left for a split second. Now, I could do this without arrow, but I don't have as much control, and it's much easier for your car to go off the intended path. So that is what pushing your stick to the left is for, and you'll be seeing in some gameplay in the background of me using this in-game and in free play going for shots. Now, once you learn that, the next most important direction to learn is pushing forward on your stick. Now, this is what it looks like. Your car will kind of do this. Now, what this does, its main purpose is for air dribbles. So when you're going for air dribbles and you get touches on the ball, you want to be holding your stick forward almost the entire time. Because what's happening when you air dribble is your car and the ball are colliding over and over, and if you're not pushing back into the ball with equal force, your car is going to get hit backwards and it's going to get all out unoriented. So it's going to be a lot harder to control. Now, I'll try and give you a quick example here. So when I'm air dribbling, see how the ball is kind of getting pushed away? Now, pushing forward on my stick keeps the ball close, and it gives me more control over my touches in the air. So if I wanted to air dribble but get a hard touch on the ball, I would use the corners of my car. And if I wanted to get a softer touch, I would just orient my car to hit with my front bumper. So that's the next important direction to learn. Once you feel comfortable using left on your stick, you should definitely learn forward. And now when you get really comfortable using air roll, I don't recommend this for a while, but this would be the third direction you should learn, would be pushing your stick to the right. Now, what this does is it flips your car over, but instead of pitching your nose up like this, it does the opposite. It pushes your nose down. So it'll look like this. Now, when doing this, if you guys notice something, this position is the exact same position you'd use going for flip resets. So using arrow right and pushing your stick to the right is really good for setting up flip resets. Now, flip resets are a very, very advanced mechanic that I do not recommend trying to learn while learning arrow right or left. You should only learn flip resets with arrow right and left after hundreds, if not thousands of hours of using just arrow left and right, just trying to go for aerials and more control touches with the ball. But if you do want to go down the route of learning flip resets, this is how you would do it. You would hold arrow right and push your stick to the right. If you're using arrow left, you push your stick to the left. If you want more details on this, I will link Squishy from NRG. I'll link his video in the description. He does a really good job of explaining the different directions of the stick and using arrow right. Now, the last direction is pulling back on your stick, and this is not, I rarely ever use this. It is not a very useful mechanic. The only time you would ever really use this is probably going off the wall and then just pushing to the ground like that. But that is very rare, and I rarely ever use it. So just focus on left on your stick and forward on your stick. Those two you absolutely need. And then once you feel comfortable with that, you can start learning pushing it to the right and trying to go for flip resets. All right, now that we got the basic directions down and what they do and what they're good for, how do you exactly practice this? How do you get good at using these? Well, how I learned it was going through workshop maps using Lethamir's rings maps, for example. Like, I would just go through rings maps and I would just straight aerial until I came to like a corner or like where I need to change directions, and then I would do one spin at a time using aerial. You'll be seeing footage of this in the background. And then once I got comfortable with doing single spins, changing directions, I then moved on to feathering my boost all the way through the rings maps and just holding aerial at the same time and just getting used to the different movements on your stick. Now, I'm going to show a clip here of me going through these maps, and I want you to pay attention to my left stick. My left stick is constantly moving. I'm always trying to feel out the different directions of my car. Once I get comfortable with that, then you really try to speed it up. You really try to get through rings maps fast as you can while keeping control of your car and using aerial the entire time. Now, I know not everybody can get workshops maps, especially for console players. Now, for you guys, what you guys should be doing is going on the pillars maps. I'll be showing some footage of that as well. And doing the same thing just on the pillars maps. You start off with tiny little spins when you need to change a direction. Then you learn to feather your boost and hold air roll the entire time while doing figure eights around the map. And then once you feel really comfortable with that, you really try to speed yourself up and try and force yourself to make mistakes. You want to go as fast as you can while under control. Because once you get in game, you got to be quick with it. You cannot feather your boost up to a ball. You will get beat every time. Now, another common question is, how many hours does this take? How many hours does it take for me to be able to do this in game? How many hours does it take for me to get comfortable using this where it becomes second nature? And there's no straightforward answer for that. It's different for everybody. For me, I've spent probably 400 or 500 hours using air roll in training alone. Like, that doesn't include the hundreds of games I've played. So I probably have a little under 1,000 hours in this game, and at least 800 of those have been using air roll right. So it takes some time, but you just gotta stick with it. You gotta, before you play, every time you play, spend 5-10 minutes just using air roll right in free play, in rings maps, workshop maps, and you'll eventually get the hang of it. One day you'll be using it and something will just click in your mind, and from there it's the sky's the limit. You'll get it figured out. Now, if you have any other comments that you'd like to make or point anything out, how I can improve the videos and the tutorials, definitely let me know. If you have any questions or anything you're confused about, definitely leave me a comment, or I will leave a link to my Discord channel in the description. You can click that link and come hang out in my Discord channel and leave your questions in the coaching tab, and I can personally help you through with what you're struggling with and answer some questions for you. Now, with that being said, I appreciate you guys watching this tutorial. Your support really means a lot, and I will see you all in the next video.
Let me be clear, I'm the best in the city. I'm from the desert, but I'm dripping plenty. I feel the weight of my peers and it's heavy. Bitch, don't mistake me for somebody petty. Never been slipping, I'm sick and I'm ready. Whiskey, I'm sipping and she off that Henny. Shady, they moving this shit kamikaze. If you wanna play me, then get the Atari.